All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. All right. Man, I feel like Beyonce with this stuff here. Here's Lady Gaga for you, too. We've had a really, really good summer with this incubator program. It's been our first year, but been really, really successful. There's been a little confusion, probably because we didn't tell you guys, about the format of the program today. Basically, it does not go till 1:30, okay? It will end at about 11:30-ish, give or take, depending on how long Dr. Kobe takes. But what we are having is, instead of Q&A after each one of the teams present, we've actually got tables outside right across the fancy hors d'oeuvres where the teams can sit down and you can go and talk to them once this is done. And we have this whole space with us till 1:30, okay? So just a clarification. All right. I'd like to start off by thanking our board members, our mentors, and our sponsors. This program would not have been where we are today without the help of our board. We have a really, really good, strong board members, a lot of good board members, all right? Sorry, I'm working off of a couple hours of sleep here. They were instrumental in helping us formulate the structure of the program, in helping us design this whole thing, in helping select the different team members to participate in the program. For example, Daniel Tweedle, I know he's here somewhere, he's right there. This guy worked tirelessly with all the teams. He spent nights with them to do the presentations. He's also spent a number of hours with me individually, helping design the program as we move forward as well, right? So thank you again, Daniel. I'd like to thank all our mentors. Without you guys, none of these teams would be where they are today. They came in 12 weeks ago at a very different level, and they're at a very different level today, and that is all thanks to our mentors. I'd like to thank our sponsors, without whom, again, we would not exist. The Hale U.S. Bank through the College of Business, the Fifth Third Bank Entrepreneurship Institute, Vision 2015, College of Informatics, Kentucky Science and Technology Corporation, as well as a couple alums who gave us a couple $100 here and there, right? It all adds up. We spent a lot on coffee. I'd like to thank our teams. I've been really, really fortunate to have these awesome teams with us this first class. They made it really, really easy for us to look good. They have set the bar really, really high for the next classes that come in, as well as for us going forward. So thanks a lot. I'd like to thank Donna Gray and Cynthia Siddons. They took care of all the logistics for us, making sure we had the room ready, making sure everything worked in the room. The phone doesn't work, though. Making sure we were always caffeinated, and just taking care of this mountain of paperwork so we could do our stuff. So thank you. If you look at all the great teams that are out there, you'll find that the person, it's very rarely a one-person thing, right? So you have to have a strong team. And to build a strong team, what you need to do is hire somebody who is better than you, right? You cannot hire somebody who is as good as you or worse than you, because that actually brings your team down. So you have to hire better than yourself. So when I started this program, I was looking to hire somebody better than myself. Now I know what you guys are saying. You're like, better than Rodney? Really? But I did find this guy, right? And he's right there, Zach Strobel. Without this guy, this program would not have been where it is today. Zach was hired as a part-time person. He's the coordinator of the incubator. But Zach put in so many hours above and beyond what was expected off of him. He gave up full-time job opportunities because he was dedicated to this place, all right? Again, this guy right here, the keystone of our incubator, all right? Last but not least, Dr. Rick Kobe, Dean of the Hale U.S. Bank College of Business. And I got to say that because Eric Abner's sitting here. Dr. Kobe believed in us when we first started. His vision, his leadership, his guidance, and his support were all that made this program what it is today. If he did not believe in our vision, if he did not believe in what we were trying to do, we would not be here talking to you guys today. So all thanks to Dr. Rick Kobe, and I'd like you to come up here and say a couple words. Make sure I'm off.
I don't think hey, technology, you gotta love it. It was very nice what Rodney said, but when you see that you have someone who's going to take something and run with it, you just let that go and support them. So that was a very easy decision. It is great to be here today to talk about the outcomes of the first season of the Inkubator. Many hopes, dreams, anxieties, and expectations were incorporated into this endeavor. There were many reasons this program should fail. Lack of resources, new, inexperienced managers, entrepreneurial entanglements, lots of naysayers, and tons of factors that could have caused it to fall off the tracks. Sound familiar to any of you in the entrepreneurial world? Yes, indeed. The Inkubator is a startup, and a very successful startup, and I'm very proud of them. Assistant Professor Rodney D'Souza has worked tremendously hard to make the Inkubator a success. I mention the assistant professor because what he accomplished this last year is something that assistant professors don't normally do, okay? And he did it with aplomb. He has tirelessly championed the process and dogmatically worked to reach a successful conclusion. I think Rodney learned a lot about the university structure and other aspects of starting a program in a university setting. These are good lessons for an individual, I am certain, have many opportunities to start and grow programs at in a university setting, and I hope he does them here at NKU. It is my firm belief that any program that has a chance to succeed needs to have a champion, a person who drives the initiative from concept to implementation and oversees all the steps in between. Dr. D'Souza has done just that and given a tremendous amount of time to this noble purpose. I congratulate Rodney on the success of the Inkubator. Well done. So today we have the opportunity to celebrate the outcome of the learning process offered by the Inkubator. The Inkubator is part of what I believe is important for entrepreneurship education, that giving students opportunities to actually start businesses. That is an absolute important part of doing this type of education. Because if you don't get to that point, you never see all this stuff that they went through to get them to the point of actually commercializing them and turning on the revenue streams. And that's an enormously difficult task, and it requires many decisions that will never happen if you don't actually have students start businesses. So I'm a big proponent of that part of it. So this idea of creating real businesses, not make-believe things, not just some tchotchkes at the student center, but starting their own businesses, advance these students more than we could have ever done in any class. Certainly the idea of becoming an entrepreneur has lots of appeal. The opportunity to pursue one's own dream of owning a business and becoming a success based on the businesses one builds is part of the American fabric. Yet, as the Inkubator students will readily attest, success is not based solely on one's ability as an entrepreneur. To be certain, an entrepreneur has to have the fire in the belly and dogged determination to dedicate the time and effort needed to start a business. Having an entrepreneurial intellect doesn't hurt either. And achieving success requires even more effort and wisdom. However, most entrepreneurs do not achieve their successes based only on their personal abilities and knowledge and determination. In most instances, it requires a team of players to make a business success. Reading what the incubator participants wrote about their experience in the program, it's clear that the advice, support, and nurturing that was given to them by Rodney, Zach, and a myriad group of entrepreneurs, attorneys, angel investors, and others who participated in this endeavor made the difference. I offer my thanks to all of you who voluntarily helped to operate the incubator. Your efforts are much appreciated. Now, not all the teams found success in starting their business. Do I see that as a bad thing? Nope, not at all. In fact, I expected that to happen as a part of this process. Yet, I think everyone who participated in the incubator learned something about entrepreneurship and about themselves as future entrepreneurs. That's huge in my book. That is what an incubator in an academic setting is designed to accomplish. The fact that a number of business concepts will actually leave here as viable and ongoing enterprises, it's really ready for acceleration, is a terrific outcome. So in conclusion, I want to again congratulate the dynamic duo of Rodney and Zach for their accomplishments with the incubator. I offer my heartfelt words of encouragement to the students who participate in the program this summer to follow their dreams and make them realities. I wish each of them well. And thank you for attending this event today. And I certainly hope with you that we will see some terrific presentations.
All right. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay, good. What Rodney didn't tell you is that, he is giving me credit, but Rodney is very, very modest for those of you who know him. And the amount of effort and work that he's put into this, especially with just having a baby and doing his duties as a professor and also as an entrepreneur, and then there's a multitude of students that Rodney has selflessly helped out. It is remarkable that he is able to balance all these things at once. So this is his baby, despite what he might tell you. And, he went to Florida, he visited various colleges, and he found the best practices for this program to make sure that it would be a success. So, and Rodney, worked tirelessly all hours of the night, really. There was plenty of times we were texting back and forth at 2 a.m. because we had something to do the next day. So, he's put in a ton of effort into this, and, he definitely is the one that deserves the credit. So what we'll do is I will go over the format with you guys and tell you about the program, which I know a lot of you already know about it, but we'll just go over it really briefly. And then I will get to what we've been up to the past 12 weeks, and then we'll transition into when the teams present. So that's what you guys came for, is to see what they've been up to, right? So the way this program started is what Rodney identified was there's a gap. That gap is that there's a lot of students that have very great ideas. And as we all know, ideas are worthless without execution. So what we've done is, yes, there are these area accelerators. There's venture capitalists in this tri-state area. There's these technology parks. But, in order to get there, you do have to do a lot of work just to be able to get into a place like the Brandery or an UpTech or get funded by a Sensi Tech. So what we've done is our program is a pre-seed business incubator. So our goal is to get these students into these area accelerators or incubators or find out ways to get them funding. And each and every team is going to be different. There is no cookie cutter method for doing this. We identified that each team is going to be at a different point. So what we did was, this program is offered to students all over the campus. It's run out of the College of Business, but our goal is to be as diverse as possible. So we recruited all over campus. And I would consider us to be successful with our recruiting, as we did have 42 applications for this first year of the program. And the applications were no joke. It was an extensive process. It required you to do some research. It wasn't just, hey, I had this idea, I'm going to throw it out there. No, we wanted you to do some work to show us that you were serious enough to even submit an application. So from there, what we did was, we had a judges panel. We had a committee. And what we did was we went through all the applications. We cut out the ones that didn't fit what we were looking for. And then we talked about them. And we narrowed it down to an Elite 8. We invited that Elite 8 to come present to a judges panel. And that judges panel included some of our board members like Carol is here, Nisham's here, Daniel Tweedle's here. So I mean, we had a number of people that, with experience that were able to judge these very well. So from there, we did select it down to 5 teams. And those 5 teams got into the program. And where our focus was what we identified was these teams lack resources as students. What we identified is, a lot of investors will tell you that they'll take an A team with a B idea as opposed to a B team with an A idea. So we focused on team building. We weren't always successful with finding everyone the right team members, but some of the teams were very successful with that, as Gary Darna will tell you when he comes up and presents today. So we know how important it is to have a strong team. And then the other thing is mentorship. So we are very blessed to have access to a number of entrepreneurs, consultants, professionals with years and years of experience who are willing to come to this program and mentor these teams. We are very blessed to have these people who are willing to do this. So, these teams, with the education that they got out of this program alone, and a lot of them will tell you is just worth the experience of being there these past 12 weeks. Another thing is seed money. Like we said, a lot of these teams involve students, and students are already paying for college. They're working mostly part-time, full-time, and they don't all have a career to where they can fund a venture like this. And so what helps is that there is seed funding available for these teams, and some of the teams were able to take advantage of that. So the past 12 weeks, what we've been focusing on is through Steve Blank's business model. And we have really emphasized the hypothesis, test, validate system. So what we mean by that is, by hypothesize, we'll take an example of value proposition. So you would guess what your value proposition is. You'd make an educated guess. You would test it. The way that we encourage these teams to test it is to talk to people. Talk to your customers. Talk to your vendors. Talk to the people that will be involved with this. Find out if your customers actually want to use your product. And so each week is a 12-week program, so we spent 9 of the weeks going over each one of these different segments. And each one of these different segments was presented by either a mentor or someone from the entrepreneurial community that had a lot of knowledge on this topic, that came in and was willing to dedicate their time and to educate these teams that are in the program. So the other thing we focused on is to develop a prototype. And the teams also had to justify to us that they actually have something viable that justifies developing a prototype. As you'll see, Dan Adams with Earth and Near came in with a prototype already established, but throughout the program, he was able to build upon that. Gary Darna came in and got himself a teammate to help program, and Gary's the perfect example of someone who developed a prototype while in this program, and you guys will see that. So next up is Rodney. He is going to tell you a little bit about the teams before we get started, and then we will get to the teams.
Now, all right. We started off with 5 student ideas. One is Earth and Year by Dan Adams, Complete Set by Gary Darna, Assist Right by Mary Bauer, Line Scout by Jason Hewlett, and My College App by Rafael Torres. We ended up with My College App actually dropping out of the program because he could not, it was too intense for what he thought it would be. The program was designed The program was designed to be really difficult, but at the same time to be a place where you could fail safe. So you're not losing too much money of your own. You're losing, other people's money. What you'd be losing is time, but that would be a learning experience for you. Now, Raphael could not go through the program, so he dropped out. Jason Hewlett started off with an idea that he actually took down to the Idea State U competition in Lexington, and he actually came in second place for a concept award. So he brought that idea to the incubator, and he'll tell you all about how that worked out, but he actually pivoted out of his idea as well. Mary Bauer with Assist Right, she came up with the idea in one of my classes as part of the idea generation curriculum, and she brought that idea to the incubator, and she's pivoted and is doing pretty well right now. And I'm trying to be really amorphous by not giving away too much of what they want to say. Gary Darner with Complete Set, and I'll burst his bubble because I don't care about him. No, but Gary Darner, he's actually one of our alums from NKU. Took a number of entrepreneurship classes from me, and one thing that Gary said to me that'll always ring true is after the first lecture by Chris Schauber on value proposition, Gary comes up to me after that talk, and he's like, "Rodney, I learned more in this one lecture than I did in 4 years in college." Right? I was like, "Dude, you took 2 classes with me." It's 2 semesters. Thanks a lot, Gary. And Dan Adams with Earth and Ear. Now, Dan was at a different place than these other teams were because he actually had sort of a working prototype when he came to the program, and he had users and stuff with him. The others were more at the idea phase. And I'll let Zach go ahead and introduce Jason first, and we'll go from there.
So, although Jason decided not to go through with his idea, he did decide, to either put on the back burner or pursue something else. And Jason was successful in that he did identify a problem. And Jason will tell you about this problem in his presentation. But he was successful in that aspect. And where he did succeed was he didn't go out and develop a prototype and waste thousands of dollars. Jason was even willing to invest his winnings in the Idea State U competition into his business. And what Jason found out was with our model, he hypothesized, he had this great idea, and then when he went out there and he talked to people, and Jason's going to tell you about those people he talked to, he realized that there wasn't a market for this yet. So, without further ado, here's Jason Hewlett.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Zach and Rodney, for just the opportunity to be part of this program. It is kind of bittersweet for me today because I am one of the companies that didn't become a business, but it doesn't mean that the process didn't work. And so it was great to have this opportunity to fail efficiently, fail cheaply. I actually didn't spend anyone's money, so it was okay. But the concept was really designed towards restaurants, and restaurants have their challenges, and that's where my experience has been. For the past 10 years, I've worked in restaurants, mainly as an employee, so I felt I knew that space, the employee side. And what I've discovered is there seemed to be a lack of a consistent means to communicate expectations and then recognize and reward people for positive work performance. So I wanted to develop a solution that used positive reinforcement based on productivity and other things to kind of reward people as they're working, to set continuous goals, to engage them. And that was really designed to, eliminate the problem of turnover, or at least help reduce it. Because through my research, I found that the average in the industry tends to be around 80%, with many companies that are well over that 100%. And this becomes a cost burden because it's estimated that the cost to replace one employee is $2,400. That's lost production, the cost to hiring, the cost of training. So if I could help reduce this number, it really help save money for these companies that are operating on low margins. And the companies I was going after were a little bit larger, more like the chains of Applebee's and BW3s and O'Charlie's kind of thing. So if you look at one restaurant with 40 employees, you're looking at annual costs over $75,000. So I felt that I had an opportunity to save these people money, and that's 80% of 40 employees. So that's really where the solution came into play. And it was really based on this platform of review, recognize, reward. So it would be a robust, comprehensive solution that would review employee performance continuously through a multi-rater system, customer input, and then productivity analysis. And that productivity analysis is really where I thought we were going to differentiate ourselves. So we were going to integrate with existing solutions, compare that data to a company standard, and determine who the best employees were, and then base rewards off of that through a gamification system. So there'd be a hierarchy, people could see where they stood, constantly check it, share their accomplishments, and then the business would be able to make decisions moving forward as to who to promote within the company based on this kind of data. It turns out that the software integration was really the biggest issue, and aside from that, a cultural issue. But coming in, like Dr. D'Souza said, we had taken this concept down to Idea State U, had some success there, had gotten some pretty good feedback from people I knew in the industry from an employee perspective. I was able to validate that, yes, an automated system to share accomplishments was something that they were looking for. Gamification would make this, the workplace more enjoyable, but it really hadn't been tested to the people that were going to buy the system, and that was the managers, the executives. And it looked like early on coming into this program that we were going to be able to develop this on top of someone who's developing a new POS system. So as they develop theirs, we kind of plug in and we grow with them with new companies. But that actually fell out. So the integration piece was still an issue. But crafting the message was kind of where we needed to start. What was our value proposition, not for employees, because I got the employee piece, but what were business owners going to use this for? And essentially it was the use of objective measures and these non-monetary incentives would help be a fun and less costly way to reduce turnover, but improve morale and ultimately improve customer service, and everything else with the function of the business. So I went into the area and talked with companies. I was able to speak with the CEOs, HR directors, regional managers, and really kind of get their take and see, is this really a problem that they face? And overwhelmingly, turnover, yes, was a problem that they dealt with. They realized that the cost of it, constantly replacing people, training people, that was a tax on their efforts. But it was really the why that they thought it was so high that kind of was the burden. And it really goes to this culture aspect. So when I talk to executives about, why they thought the number was so high, well, it's because these are just part-time people anyways, or this is seasonal help. They're not really dedicated to this job. They're not going to be here very long. It's just a stepping stone. They're kind of disposable anyways. It's kind of a negative way of looking at it, but that was just the reality that they saw. That turnover, yeah, it's a problem, but it's just kind of the cost of doing business, and there's really no real reason to invest in that, in developing some sort of incentive model for people that aren't really dedicated to your business. Aside from that, the POS dependence was a problem because it proved cost prohibitive at this time with integrating into existing systems like Aloha or Micros, because up front you're paying $10,000, $15,000. So developing that was an issue. And then the number of moving parts. So each business is different. What I wanted to include was the back of the house as well as the front of the house. So it's a broad, sweeping, comprehensive solution. But every company's different. Some companies are built on a team aspect where you're sharing responsibilities. It's hard to separate, one job from another to compare, a standard that doesn't really exist for one individual person. It's more the success of the business. And talk about timing. I got this graphic this morning from an email with People Matter. They do a lot of HR studies in the industry. And it kind of shows the gap that Deloitte did a study to see what people thought was, the main contributors to a good culture in a company. And on the executive side, it's, financial performance and competitive compensation. So as long as the company's doing well and we're paying people a good wage, they'll be happy. But really on the employee side, it speaks to what I was talking about, that recognition and conversation and communication is really what they're looking for, but they're kind of lacking. And so this gap, prompted me with the advice of others to kind of make a pivot. So instead of an inward-facing program that had all these issues with integration, how could we develop a standalone system that was more outward-facing towards customers, that maybe we could get similar data, apply it to employee performance, and then kind of build into this. So that's where we pivoted to more of a customer review function. It would be a tablet device that after the meal, you drop it on the table, people would fill out like a shortened survey, and then managers could have real-time data that they'd act upon, maybe in the moment or quickly after. So I went back to the companies, tested that, and really everyone seems to have a survey function. And if they don't have a survey function, they're not willing to pay for one anyways. So it's either tied to their rewards program or it's in a new system they have. But the process, the process wasn't something they were too keen on either. That we want our guests to come in, feel welcome, feel served well. We want that customer service to be welcoming, but we don't want to tax them at the end of the meal while they're at the table to, hey, fill this out for me, like I'm now pulling extra things from you. So these were the barriers for the second round. The process was not welcome, and really there was customer fatigue with filling out surveys. So it was kind of making a pushback towards secret shoppers. And then competition. So there's new programs coming in that with table side tablets, more like Ziosk. So they offer functionality besides customer survey. Like a survey in and of itself wasn't enough. That you needed to combine bill paying and games and ordering functionality, a complete package that we just really weren't ready to develop that yet. So it's kind of back to the drawing board again. And this is really where we were. It was, maybe this could be for secret shopper functionality. Maybe this could be, the Carfax for the restaurant industry. There were a lot of, maybe this could be something. But it just really wasn't focused. And this image reminds me of a time working in the restaurants where I was prepping for a busy Friday night and orders kept coming in early. I wasn't really prepared for the night. I had stuff scattered all over my station. I was kind of sloppy getting things out, and my chef came up to me, takes my pepper, grinds it into the table, and said, "This is where your brain is right now." It's like, clean it up. So this is where I decided that, it's probably best to take a step back from this idea. There really needed to be a lot more exploration, a lot more conversations done, and really taking a fresh set of eyes to it down the road would probably be best. So with the rest of my time, Mary had actually worked with me on this concept at Idea State U, so we'd worked well together. So I decided to take the rest of my time, devote it to her, help her in whatever way she could. And really, I was feeling like I was still providing value in the program. But overall, the experience was great. So I was able to not just keep this idea in my head and think it was fantastic because I thought it was fantastic, but I was really able to go out there and test it. So that valuable exploration, being able to talk to people who were going to be my customers, and get the feedback I needed to hear, not that I wanted to hear it, but that maybe this solution wasn't right at this time. I saved money, my own money. I saved the incubator and the school's money. So I was able to fail very cheaply and efficiently. But the program was really great for everyone I met here. So not only the mentors, but the people in the community that I met. I'm really new to this area, so it was really great to get out there and explore. But it just reminded me what my passion really was, and that is the industry, that is food. I come from a culinary background. I have a culinary degree. So it really reminded me what I'm interested in. It's the people, it's the culture, it's the environment. So overall, it was a really great experience, even though it didn't turn out the way I thought. but really I wouldn't change anything, and I'd do it again. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason. All right, thank you, Jason. Now I'm going to introduce Deshaun Marks, who is going to introduce Dan Adams with Earth and Air. Deshaun Marks works at the Northern Kentucky Area Development District for the Kentucky Innovation Network. And I know many of you in the crowd probably already know Deshaun. She is very well connected, and she has been working with us in the program. She's one of the mentors we've talked about that's just willing to dedicate her time selflessly to help these students and help these teams out. So without further ado, Deshaun Marks.
Thank you. Is that your voice? Okay. All right. I have to say I'm really impressed with NKU, Northern Kentucky University. The only thing I really knew about NKU before August when I took this job was that I went to art classes here when I was in grade school, and my dad made bagels for Dr. Vertruba. Otherwise, I didn't really know much. Being able to meet with Rodney, work with the students, and interact more, I'm extremely impressed. In fact, New York Times was even impressed and recently gave a little shout out to the Inkubator, which was very cool. I was lucky enough while meeting with the students to meet Dan Adams from Earth and Air. Did I say that name right? Okay, sometimes I say the wrong names. Daniel started off, had an idea, wasn't sure, always, he was a literary student, worked for 14 years as a software engineer, consultant. Right around when everyone was having a little bit of downtime with their jobs, it was like, okay, jobs aren't coming in, my consulting gig's not going so well, what do? I need that background of computer science. I'm gonna go to NKU and get a master's in computer science. While he was working on his master's, he was able to go ahead and was ingenious enough to take some independent studies and start what he was really passionate about, doing something that he lives and he works on his own, Earth and Air. Earth and Air, it's an amazing company. It was funny, when I first saw it, I was like, I love this and I don't know why. So I sent it out to some of my friends, asked them to tell me what it was that I saw, if they could help me verbalize it. Friends in Portland, friends in Bangladesh, everywhere. They all thought it was great. And at first my friend goes, oh, this is awesome. If I lived in Cincinnati, I'd go for it. And I was like, wait, you can do this in Portland. It's a way to live a lifestyle that everyone wants to be healthy and environmental and friendly, but we all work in crazy businesses. He's taking a lifestyle that people who, it's a little bit of a different subculture, and allowing it to be more of a mainstream culture for everyone, opening up to a variety of people. I think what says it the most is when he started at the NKU Incubator, he had 4,500 users. He now has over 11,000. It's great. He's Mother Earth News, Backwoods. They've all asked him to write articles, show up for different events. He's presented about do-it-yourself solar panels in different areas. So I can't say enough great things about Dan. Recently, he was chosen as one of the 16 companies to pitch at the GCVA Pitch Wars at Cincy Techbury, and he also has applied for grants through the Kentucky Science and Technology Corporation. He's really getting out there. I think through this program, it's pushed Dan to take it to that next level. So I don't want to take too much from him because I could talk for quite a while about Earth and Air. But I am now on Earth and Air, and I do encourage you all to go onto the website and check it out. And I'll let the true Earth and Air speak.
Thank you. Okay, how do I get this to show up on them? There we go. Awesome. All right. My name is Dan Adams, and I'm the founder of Earth and Air. I refer to myself as a homesteader, and what I mean by that is that by profession I'm a computer programmer, and I don't make my living through farming, but I still produce a lot. So I have a garden. We can and preserve. I'm a beekeeper. We have chickens. We have goats. We have lambs. We tap trees for maple syrup. We're even building our own solar panels. And people like me, I represent a growing number of people who want to know how their food is produced and where it's produced, and want to do more for themselves for less and live more simply. Our market is the same that Mother Earth News caters to. Mother Earth News has grown by 50% in the past 5 years. In 2009, they were listed as the #1 fastest growing magazine. In 2011, they were listed as the #1 favorite magazine, and that's ahead of the New Yorker and the Economist. And this isn't just a rural trend, it's an urban one as well. Yards are being transformed into edible landscapes. Beehives are being put on the top of Cincinnati buildings. Chickens are going into suburban backyards. So there's a growing number of people who want to do this. And businesses are starting to take notice. So if you open the latest Williams-Sonoma catalog, you too can own a $1,500 chicken coop. So obviously they see a growing trend in urban environments. And this is in thanks a large part due to food education, the farm-to-table movement, economic constraints. They're all causing people to rethink things and decide how much they can produce on their own. So a while back, I'd set a goal for myself. I had wanted to produce 80% of what I consume. But the problem that I discovered is that I'm not a full-time farmer. I'm a computer programmer. The only way to be able to accomplish this is to be a full-time farmer. So I thought, what if there was a way to leverage social networks in order to facilitate trading, to find the items that I'm not producing? And really, that's what started Earth and Ear, is the idea of a trading application. I still haven't gotten to that point yet, but I'm working toward it. And a lot of this is occurring already. People are organizing food swaps, seed swaps, plant swaps. So what we're doing is just facilitating that. So it could be produce from the garden. It could even be services, such as web design. And then I'll go ahead and create lists of things that I need. Then I'll search for groups within my area, within my zip code, and the system will find matches for me, people that I can trade with. What's going to make this work is the groups concept, because above everything else, trading is a social activity. It's about finding local people and making relationships with them. So what I did when I started Earth and Ear is I built the social network part first. So you can upload videos, you can upload photos, you can share information and all the conversations around sustainable living. You can also call information from all over the internet. So it could be from Mother Earth News, from Backwoods Home, from Countryside. It could be from a blog somewhere. You can comment on it, like it, pin it to your own pin boards, and organize it based on your interests. So when I started the incubator program, as was mentioned, I had 4,500 users, and I actually did have a site that people were using. Pretty integral to the whole process was the business model canvas. And of those, I focused on the value propositions. So what I had outlined, the very first thing I wanted to address was trading, which is actually at the bottom. But since I've already covered that, I also wanted to change the nature of the interaction with businesses, with potential customers. I wanted businesses to be an active part of the community. I didn't want them to just be a like button. I wanted them to be involved as members of groups, writing blogs, and actually answering questions. And that's a strong part of the questions feature. If somebody were to ask, how many supers of capped honey do I need to get my bees through winter? Dadent, which supplies bee-making equipment, could answer. Gold Star Honeybees, which has classes on beekeeping, could answer. Bee Culture, which is a magazine for it. So it's an additional way for them to get in front of customers. And then I also wanted Earth and Ear to be kind of a one-stop source for all information on sustainable living. So of the value propositions, the one I was focusing on the most was the trading, because I felt that out of the forthcoming features was the one that had the most benefit. So I already had an existing base, so I decided to go ahead and poll them. So I took 40 of my most active users, and I said, out of all the features that are there and the upcoming features, what do you find to be most valuable? And they validated that, yes, indeed, everybody pointed to the trading application as the thing that they were most looking forward to. But the conversations yielded some other results. Hager Supply Company, which is actually one of our sponsors now, gave this quote: "Naturally, people who are focused on providing for themselves are a difficult market to penetrate. Earth and Ear provides businesses with the ability to interact in a meaningful way with members, thereby creating real relationships and loyalty among them." So without prompting, businesses were validating a couple of my other value propositions, and specifically changing the nature of how businesses interact. So I went ahead and polled that group again, with the exception of the businesses. I just asked the individuals if this interaction would would make them more likely to actually purchase from those businesses. As it turns out, it already had. They had already, based on just their interactions with some of these businesses, they had started making purchases from these businesses. And just the association with Earth and Air alone, a lot of them had started purchasing from these businesses. One of the other things that it highlighted was the true value of having experts on the site. When we first started building and growing, we knew that on the customer segments, we wanted to cater to both beginners and experts. So the greenhorn, which is agricultural beginners, and the old timers. And so how we knew that if we invited beginners to it and they started asking questions and those questions weren't answered, they get frustrated and leave. So that's why we focused on really drawing the experts to the site. And we're really fortunate to have, very early on, an article that was done on us in Backwoods Home Magazine. It's a small family-run publication, but it's really well-received in the homesteading community. And that helped drive a lot of the experts to the site. But along those same lines, we're still focused on hiring knowledgeable employees going forward, because we need them to not only do their core job well, but we also need them to be knowledgeable. One of the other things that we tackled was navigation, because one of the sticking points for new users is they would get to the site. There were too many options, so they were confused on some of the navigation. Where to post, it was scattered across a couple different pages, and even the search. You could search for blogs on one page, so the search was scattered about as well. So we've been going through a redesign. This is a very early mock-up, and it'll go through several renditions, but it gives you an idea. So at the top, we're narrowing it down to only 3 options and then organizing it a lot better. The search will be consistent on all the pages. So from all the pages, you can search for groups, topics, and people. So when we address revenue streams, we're looking at targeted and group buying for the revenue streams. We wanted to establish a metric that we could work with. Based on a number of users that we had, how much advertising revenue could we expect? Facebook gets $9.51 for their U.S. market for the number of users. We went ahead and talked to Ogden Publications as well. I spoke with Brian Welsh, who owns Ogden. They own Mother Earth News Magazine, Grip Magazine, Herb Companion. And what they get for their website is $3.50 for every user on their website. But to put this into context, it's a static website. It's for their magazine. It had articles and has blogs, so it's actually not a social network. So our idea is that by providing a very focused niche site, we can drive the value of those advertisements even higher. And by focusing on the targeted and the group buying, even more so. So if conversations are taking place, such as on bread making, perhaps somebody is asking what their favorite grain mill is, anytime those conversations are taking place and we refresh the page, we'll immediately serve those advertisements along the side that are based on what the topic that's going on. The same will go for groups. We'll go ahead and leverage the groups being assembled so that the advertisements can be useful to the members as well by getting bulk discounts, in this case, organic chicken feed. We also wanted to address member aggregation, how we go ahead and grow. And the growth that we've seen has been fantastic, but we want to continue to propel that. And we thought Ravelry was a good example of that. It's a niche site. It's a social network for knitters and crocheters. The first year, they had 100,000. Second year, they had 600,000. The third year, they had 1 million. So for a knitting and crocheting site, that's fantastic growth. So I contacted them and asked them how they grew. Turns out it was by word of mouth and by engaging the blogging community. So we went ahead and added that to our key partners being bloggers. Now, there are a lot of bloggers on our site already. The problem is they don't use Earth and Air to blog. They have their own blog. They want to drive traffic to it. And that's part of the purpose of the pinning feature that's coming out, is we want to be able to help drive traffic to them and engage the blogging community. So other than just building the social network and the trading application, we're also still focusing on brand awareness and continuing to do that. So I've been a speaker at the Mother Earth News Fair for a couple years now. I've done it on do-it-yourself electric car, do-it-yourself solar panels, on bokashi composting. This is one of the crowds on a do-it-yourself solar panel. So you can see it draws a pretty good crowd. Every time that I do one of these presentations, it helps to generate more awareness, also helps drive traffic to our booth. This year we're doing a live solar panel build at our booth as well. So we're going to, other than the Mother Earth News Fair, which is in Puyallup, Washington, Seven Springs, Pennsylvania, we're going to be exhibiting at the SOG Conference in Arkansas, Common Grounds in Maine, OFA in Ohio. So we're going to be across the country really trying to generate traffic. And we're also writing articles for publications. So I'm a guest blogger on Mother Earth News. I've written an article for Edible Ohio on backyard chickens. I have another one coming out in solar panels for Backwoods Home magazine. And we're focusing our marketing efforts still on the experts. Countryside is a great example of this because it's a magazine written by homesteaders for homesteaders. So we're still focusing on the experts, and at that point, once we generate a really good base of experts, we'll move on to some of the other magazines as well. And we've started a sponsorship program, and we've already attracted some pretty good names. Mother Earth News, Hager Supply Company, which is the #1 supplier of goat equipment. They also have cheese-making lines and soap-making lines. Grainmaker, which is actually one of the companies in the Williams-Sonoma catalog in the agrarian line. They produce a grain mill, probably the best on the market, and Backwoods Home magazine. And in several of the cases, they're actually helping to promote Earth and Ear as well. Grainmaker is including Earth and Ear cards in every single one of their grain mills that ship out. Backwoods Home intends to shut down, they have a bulletin board system. They're just going to go ahead and shut it down and send all the users to Earth and Ear. So to recap, where we are right now, we have industry-recognized sponsors and partners. We actually have revenue. We have a working website with a growing user base. As I said, when I started the program, I had 4,500. We now have over 11,000. And a renewed focus. You may have seen the quotes earlier on. Backwoods Home magazine had called us a Facebook for farmers. And Claire Wolfe had said that Earth and Ear was what Facebook could have been if Mark Zuckerberg had wanted to make it useful and interesting. Well, we want to grow beyond just being thought of as a Facebook niche site, and we feel that the questions feature and the trading application, the pinning, is what's really going to propel us further. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Next up, I'm going to introduce Chris Schaber, who will be introducing Assist Right. And Chris Schaber is with the Queen City Angels. And when Rodney said that, Gary Darna said just from one presentation, he learned more than his 4 years of college. That was actually Chris Schaber's presentation, and that was on value proposition. So Chris is one of those dedicated mentors, again, who dedicated his time and really helped out with the program. And, you know, we can't say thank you enough to Chris, you know, for him being willing to dedicate his time. And just after Chris's first presentation, just the impact he had, like all the teams were talking about it. They were saying, hey, man, I got to go talk to people. I got to get my value proposition squared away. You know, he really helped emphasize like how important that one aspect of the business was just after one presentation. So without further ado, Chris Schaber.
There we go. First, a few comments, and I know a lot have been said about the incubator program, but wow, what a great program and opportunity for these young entrepreneurs. You know, often, and I've been involved with the educational process on the periphery for quite a while, but often our educational process is focused on book learning. And the students spend a lot of time in the classroom, and they're learning about the conceptual side of things. Rarely do they get the opportunity to get out and apply what they learn so quickly. Usually it comes, you know, several years later after they graduate, which, okay, yeah, it's time, but it's not that immediate feedback. So again, these folks had the opportunity to do that thanks to Zach and Rodney. Mary Bauer is one of these entrepreneurs. During the program, Mary put some of that learning into action by taking the time to talk to numerous customers about her product. Along the way, she discovered that her Plan A, an embedded search tool, was not the right product. As a result of what I call the customer discovery process, Mary identified another related opportunity, actually Plan C, which she'll talk about. That new product, Plan C, is AssistWrite. Same name, but third version of it. AssistWrite is a solution designed to provide editorial and copy editing services via an innovative technology and services platform. I understand that Mary also has her first customer signed up, so congratulations. But more about the company and the product from Mary in a moment. A little bit more about Mary. She's a senior, a major in communications, minor in entrepreneurship. Just from the little bit I've interacted with her, she seems very energetic and hardworking. Over the past couple of months, it seems everywhere I would turn around, Mary was there. She was at the Inkubator program working on her product. Queen City Angels is involved in another local company, Jacobs Automation, out in Hebron. And I was out there for a board meeting, and I turned around and look in the cube, and there's Mary. And so she's an intern, accounting intern for Jacobs Automation. And then Jim Cunningham and I were down at UpTech providing a presentation, and in comes Mary, and actually Jason was as well. So it seemed everywhere I turned, she was there. So obviously taking this program seriously and putting a lot of effort into getting the most out of it. So it's my pleasure to turn it over to Mary so she can talk about AssistWrite.
Is this on? Okay. Okay, before I get started, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Chris and also to all of the other mentors that came into the program to help us and talk to us about our ideas. The advice and guidance that you all provided really was invaluable, and I feel very fortunate to have met you all through this program. And I can say I really would not have made the progress that I've made if it weren't for your help. So today I'm going to tell you about my experience in the incubator and a little bit about the business that I have developed, which is AssistWrite. My idea, as Dr. D'Souza mentioned, originated in his Intro to Entrepreneurship class. We had an idea generation project, and he encouraged us to look at problems that we see in our everyday lives and try and brainstorm solutions for those problems. Being an avid reader of online news and blogs, one of the first things I thought about was what bothers me most when I'm reading. I hate reading typos. I hate seeing the inconsistencies. So I started thinking to myself, why is this happening? As I did a little bit more research into the industry of blogging and online reporting, I discovered there was a trend. It became apparent that the need for bloggers and journalists to be the first to publish was really outweighing their need and desire for accuracy and attention to detail. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if there was like a spelling and grammar check except for facts, like date of birth? And that's essentially the idea that I applied to the incubator with. I wanted to develop a web-based word processor that allowed users to build and access customizable reference databases while they write. Sounds kind of complicated, right? It was. So when I was accepted into the incubator program, one of the first things that we worked on was value proposition. And I thought, piece of cake, I got that covered. AssistWrite software is going to save users valuable time and help them produce accurate, error-free material faster. So in an effort to validate my business proposition, I went out and started talking to as many potential users as I could. This included bloggers, journalists, business writers, and more. What I found out surprised me a little bit, and that's why I decided to use this cartoon in my presentation. While the people that I talked to told me that my software idea sounded kind of cool, it wasn't really something they were all that interested in. So I think this cartoon really sums up that part of the incubator experience for me. I really thought that I had a great experience-changing idea that any writer anywhere would want to use. However, after I talked to some potential customers, I found out that while my software idea was somewhat relevant to the pains that writers face, it wasn't quite on target. I thought that writers needed a service that provided them with quick, accurate fact-checking. And what I discovered is the speed and efficiency is really important to writers, but not necessarily so in a fact-checking capacity. They really need this in editing. And that's what led me to my first pivot. I scratched my original value proposition and went back to the drawing board. Through my talks with my potential customers, like I said, I found that editing, proofing, and this overall optimization of their material is really what causes them the greatest pains. One of my potential customers said, I used to work for a really big business, and I had a team and an assistant I could send my blog posts to when I was done. They would look it over, check the facts, and basically make sure I didn't look like an idiot. He says, now that I'm with a smaller organization, though, I don't have that anymore. So it's really taken my writing process from about 45 minutes to closer to 2 hours. This is when I started thinking about doing a pay-per-post proofing and editing service. I started doing some research and very quickly found my competition. There are several companies that have websites that link freelance editors with individuals and businesses who need editing help. Some of these sites include Elance, Freelancer, Scribendi, and Textmaster. There are also many websites that individuals maintain to offer their own personal freelance editing services. However, being a student myself, one of the things I first thought about was this untapped resource pool of students. I looked at what the competition was doing, and I realized I could do the same thing except for use student workers. No one else was doing it, and that's when I truly identified the problem that I was solving. I was going to develop a platform that provided a link between these students and businesses who needed help with editing. So I went back out and I talked to the potential customers I'd talked to before, and I talked to some more, and I found out that not only was this something that these people were interested in, but they felt really good about it. They really liked the idea of helping students get experience before they graduate, and they were also willing to pay for it. I did some market research, and I did find that within the blogosphere there is indeed a market to support my value proposition. I decided to go after bloggers as my initial target because generally they don't have a team to help them with their material. However, it's still very important for them to make sure that their material is accurate and free of typos. Many bloggers take it seriously, and a lot of them do it for a living. They really can't afford to have typos and inconsistencies on their pages because it leads to a downturn in readership. Here I've included some examples of the mistakes that AssistWrite intends to prevent. These pictures are screenshots from actual websites, and they show a variety of mistakes from just a simple repetition of a word all the way to the blatant misspelling of a proper noun. And all of these could have very easily been prevented with a simple proofread. Part of my research, I found a recent BBC study that stated simple writing mistakes are costing online businesses millions of dollars in lost revenue. The study analyzed e-commerce businesses and found that even the simplest writing mistake can cause readers to have concerns about the website's credibility. So while it's impossible to determine the specific impact of a writing mistake, one thing is very clear: that it's bad for business. And as you can see from these examples, no type of business is immune. Whether you're a local newspaper or Discovery.com, it's really important that your material doesn't have these kind of mistakes. It was after this research that I really began to cement my idea into a business model. I started talking to professors at local universities, department chairs, and I talked to students. I proposed a collaborative platform between college faculty, students, and industry professionals to assist businesses with proofing, editing, and copywriting needs. I got some great feedback from all around, and I began to work on the details. And that brings me to where I am today. Today, AssistWrite is an established LLC, and we have just had the pleasure of gaining our first 2 customers, both of which have asked us to work on large projects that will eventually be published online. Through our website platform, we provide a link between businesses who need help with editing and the students who want experience before they graduate. Writers submit their material via our website, assistwrite.com, and they select their rate of service. There's 2 levels of service. One is basic proofing, just for that second set of eyes to make sure everything looks okay. And the second one is heavier editing, which really gives more in-depth help with the composition and overall structure of the material. And just like shipping, expedited service costs extra. Once businesses submit their material to our website, it is then distributed to an assist-write copy editor, who then passes on to the appropriate student editor team. Students will be matched up with projects and writing styles that they're proficient in. The student will edit the material and then get sent back to the copy editor for a final check before the customer receives their edited, error-free material back in their inbox. Our staff copy editors currently receive a percentage of each transaction, and our students are working as unpaid interns. We are currently in talks with 2 local universities to set up approved assist-write internships so that students will be able to earn school credit for their work. By structuring our business in this unique way, we are able to charge customers a low price for quality editing and help our students prepare for the world after college. Our customers really love the idea that they're helping students learn, but they also really love the idea that they don't have to train and coach them along the way. Our businesses never have to interact with the students. Our business customers can simply rely on the assist-write editing team to deliver quality editing work when they need it. This is the key to our success and what sets us apart from our competition. In conclusion, when I was accepted into this incubator program, I thought that at the end of the 3 months, I would be maybe in a place where I was, ready to launch a business. And I'm really happy to say that I have exceeded my own expectations. Assist-write is officially launched, and we have begun to take in money from our customers. As I look back on the whole process that led me to where I am today, I am very proud of the progress that I made, but I could not have done it without this program. At the start, I think I had some idea of what it might take to get a business up and running, but in retrospect, I realized there's just so much that I had not considered. Through the incubator, I was able to learn and put into place all the necessary steps to create a successful venture. And I really think that that's one of the greatest things about the incubator. You really start at square one, and then each week you're refining your idea, you're learning how to solve problems in your business, and you're thinking about how to go with your business look at your business going forward. And personally, for me, one of the most beneficial aspects of the program was the opportunity to learn all these things under the mentorship of Dr. D'Souza and Zach. Their guidance combined with what I learned, I believe really helped me from suffering a lot of the pitfalls that are often associated with startups. Inevitably, roadblocks came up as I was going through this process, and they were there every step of the way to help me navigate those, and so really owe a big thank you to both of them. And finally, I really just can't say enough great things about the incubator program. I feel very lucky to have been a part of the first class and to be able to stand here today and present my business to you. As I move forward with growing assist-write as a business, I will always be thankful to the opportunities and lessons that this program has given me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. So Mary is really modest in what she talks about as far as her customers. One of them is actually an organization that has 1,000 member universities around the world. So she's actually doing their website for them and proofreading that stuff, and then she gets put on their front page as one of the people who helped out. And then there are 1,000 universities who get to see that up front. And she's getting paid for it. I know a lot of you are asking yourselves, right? You're like, so we've come here to listen to students pitch their ideas. We've got our checkbooks ready to sign up something. Why aren't they asking us for money, right? The point of this whole program was to actually take it from the idea, build a really strong business model, build a team around your idea, and then move forward, where you can apply to the different accelerators in the area and do those kind of things. Now, these people really exceeded those expectations, but at the same time, they are applying to the accelerators. They're applying for different grants like Cincy Tech, like the KEF ones from Kentucky and all that kind of stuff too. So, they're all in the process of doing that as well. Mary did mention Jason as part of her team. Jason actually, as soon as he pivoted out of his own idea, he jumped in to help Mary with her idea. And again, he didn't take a full-time job. I'm not sure what's up with these people, but it's cool. I'll take it, right? So Jason, exactly at the halfway point of this program, he decided to not go ahead with his idea, but he joined Mary, and they've moved forward as a really, really strong team on their idea. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce Daniel Tweedle, who will introduce Gary and Jamie for a complete set. When Gary Darna first applied to this program, I was like, man, I got to get this guy a good mentor because, getting Gary to listen to anybody, right? We've all tried, right, Steve? So I was looking for the perfect person for him to go and talk to for, get some good mentorship and stuff. And Daniel Tweedle came to mind like this. Now here's a guy who, Notre Dame grad, joined P&G as a brand manager at 21, left there and went to Coors, which everybody would do. Then he gave up a good job at Coors and started his own companies, tried that a lot, tried different things, saw what worked, saw what didn't. He learned a lot from that process, and now he's a pretty successful independent business owner and a serial entrepreneur. So Daniel, I'll let you introduce Gary and Jamie. And also a member of our advisory board, as I mentioned before.
Check. Whoa. Got to do those sound checks delicately. Well, thank you so much, Rodney, for the introduction, and thank you, everyone, for being here. It is really exciting to be here, and it's been an exciting experience and process for me. And I do have to thank again briefly Rodney, Zach, Dr. Colby, Joe Wynn, Sally Allen, really all of NKU for the opportunity to work on this. Not just something that I know is very important and in line with this university's mission and vision, but I feel is truly fundamental to where we are right now as a country and the direction that our economy needs to go. And to work on the ground floor with things like that is really outstanding. So thanks again. And as Rodney and Dr. Colby said, the Inkubator is in and of itself a startup. And I think what we've accomplished today, and I know that you all see that, is really exciting. The potential for this program, the potential for other students to build startups like this from the ground up through this university is absolutely tremendous. And you're about to take a look at another example with Complete Set. Now, when I was first reviewing the applications with the board for everyone that applied to the incubator, I was immediately intrigued by Complete Set because I saw tremendous potential. Gary envisioned this idea from personal insights as himself a collector. And while I am not a collector myself, it is a very passionate niche, and I don't think you have to be a collector to understand the incredibly fragmented landscape that these collectors have to endure to continue with their hobby, and the amount of time and energy and money and passion they put into these collections that ironically often end up on a shelf in their room, in storage, in their family's basement. And I think that's why even those that aren't collectors admire them, because they recognize that passion. And you also don't have to be a collector to understand that in and of itself, that they do represent some of the most diehard, most passionate fans of any brand, anything. In 1970, the Golden State Comic Book Convention was founded, and it was founded to create a much-needed outlet for comic book industry's biggest fans to come together, to meet, to share, to collect, to learn. And today, that industry is known as Comic-Con, which started as a small niche in San Diego. It is now a global force and authority influencing everything from product development to pop culture itself. Any Hollywood executive will tell you that the success of a franchise movie is determined 2 years before the movie is released at Comic-Con. And it's because they recognize the power that these fans hold and the platform that enables them to make their voices known and to be that guiding force. And Complete Set really does have that potential. But as we've said all day today, if you don't have the team, you don't have it. And that was where I was really intrigued, was by Gary. With a bachelor's in entrepreneurship from NKU, Gary has over 10 years of programming experience and 2 startups under his belt already. That success was clearly translated in his ability to recruit another equally successful programmer, J.B. Rump. And these guys went from an idea in May to over 200 users across 6 countries organically, lots of other cool stuff that they're going to share with you, and a beta tracking to launch in August. And on any development timeline, that is outstanding. So it has been a true privilege to advise their company, and it's my pleasure today to introduce Gary Darna and Jamie Rump of Complete Set.
Yeah. Hello? I'm not sure. Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Daniel. Really appreciate everything you had to say and all the help you've given us so far. My name is Gary Darna. Our project is called Complete Set, and it is an application that will allow collectors to competitively showcase, discover, and exchange curated collectibles from their favorite brands. When I came into the incubator, I just had an idea. I literally just thought of this one day when I saw collectors sharing things online, in particular on Facebook and Instagram. I see them all the time posting photos of everything that they own in their collection. So imagine like a stack full of comic books or a wall full of action figures. The problem with that is you can't really tell what they have. You don't know how rare the items are, what condition they're in. It's really not an effective solution to being able to showcase what you own. So collectors are brands' most loyal fans. They put a tremendous amount of time and energy and money into finding the items that they really care about from the brands that they love. Yet the problem is, as Daniel mentioned, those things just sit in storage or on a shelf, and the only time that somebody sees them is if somebody brings, or the collector shows it to family or friends or other collectors. They can't bring that with them to something like Comic-Con. They can't bring it online. And if they have a really huge collection, it takes a lot of time to photograph every individual item. So no one really does that. Most information that's available online about collectibles is provided by sellers who are not considered experts about those items. It's very frustrating to be a collector and go on a site like eBay and see someone saying that an item was released 10 years before it actually was, or that the value is 3 times the amount that it actually is. And that happens all the time because the people that are selling the items are not the ones that are collecting them. And finally, there's no way to value, or reliable way to value collectibles in real time. You see on shows like Antiques Roadshow or American Pickers or Pawn Stars, there's always this question of what it's worth. And people are often very surprised or disappointed by what the value of their collectible or antique actually is. So the solution that Complete Set has provided is really 3 different ways. First, we will completely transform the way that collecting and showcasing is done online in ways that's never been done before. Real collectors will be able to tell the unique story of the items that they own or the items that they want. They will essentially be curators of a digital museum all about collectibles. And the only people that will be able to curate that information are the people that know those items best. And finally, our algorithm for valuing collectibles provides real-time appraisals so that collectors and even people that just want to sell a collectible will be able to have a reliable source for what something's worth. Today, the way people do that, they just look on eBay and see what someone's selling something for. But what someone's selling something for and what they're getting are 2 very different things. Our ultimate goal is to build a complete digital catalog of every collectible ever made. But we can't do this by ourselves. So that's why the curation piece comes in and why it's so important to the success of Complete Set. So the incubator really helped me be able to validate who our customers are and whether people would actually use this. Before the incubator, as a web developer and entrepreneur, I just saw a problem and it's like, oh, I'm going to solve it. And, if there's customers, great. It was a, if you build it, they will come type of mentality. And sometimes that does work. Sometimes you just do things because you want to do it and it ends up being a successful business. But rather than waste that time, they encouraged me to actually talk to the people that would be using this product. So we've talked to users, and over 200 of them, as of today, have signed up from 10 different countries to use Complete Set when we launch. And this is completely organically. We haven't put out billboards or really tried to drive traffic to the site. It's just kind of spread online. We've recruited our first curator, and this person's a respected collector from Dayton, Ohio, who runs a message board with more than 800 users. And this is one of our strategies for finding the curators, is to find these people that are really experts about these particular brands and that run message boards or other types of fan sites for brands, and get them to help us build up the collectors that are on our site. We've been promoted by a brand called Johnny Cupcakes. It's a multi-million-dollar international apparel brand that was recently listed on the Inc. 500. A few weeks ago, the founder of the company actually tweeted to 65,000 followers for everyone to support Complete Set, completely unsolicited from us. We've been contacted as a result of that tweet by Wired Magazine, and they want to review the product and put in an upcoming article that they'll be doing about collecting and in particular about Complete Set. This was super exciting because, to be able to have that type of exposure, we didn't even reach out to them. And this guy came to me and said, hey, this is an awesome idea. He actually tweeted to all his followers, the staff writer did, and said, I think this could be big. So when you start seeing that type of validation from someone whose job it is to write about technology, that's pretty cool. And this is some of the stuff that people have said about Complete Set. These are coming from all over the world. We have people in the United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, France, Spain, and this one person on top here, says that they have multiple collections, and they'd love to be able to show them all off, and they also have a family member that's a collector. And I often see that as the case. People have more than one collection, but there's really no way to showcase that. So one of the important things about building a product and a company that will deliver that product is knowing about the market. And I have a lot of domain expertise because I've been a collector for the past 16 years. So I understand demographics and who I'm targeting. And but I wanted to really understand how much people are spending on these collectibles. And I researched and found some information about that. That $5 billion annually is spent on collectibles. And there's over 200 million serious collectors around the world. We conservatively estimate that our target market is over 32 million collectors. And these are people that are going to be focused on the brands and the product types that Complete Set is going to be focused on. So this is very conservative. It's probably much larger than this. But we wanted to really indicate that we know the difference between the total market size and our target market. So our focus is on passionate collectors, the people that know everything about these items and love these items, but then you're also going to be able to bring in people that maybe just remember an item they had when they were a kid and they just want to check it out online, or people that are fans of a particular movie. All of these people can congregate on Complete Set and surround themselves with these items and learn more about them. So wherever there's a market and potential customers, there's always going to be competition, and that's actually a good indicator. So these are some of the solutions that collectors use today, and as you see, it's very fragmented. People talk about things on message boards, they post collectibles on Facebook, they use eBay to buy and sell items, but it's all over the place. And if you see Complete Set on the bottom row here, all of these feature sets are things that Complete Set will do. Yet, these competitors don't serve all these functions. In particular, I wanted to mention Keepio. Keepio is a really great tool that collectors and enthusiasts and fans of items and brands can post on. And it's unique because, unlike eBay, it allows people to be able to showcase items that they have. But the big difference between Complete Set and Keepio is that with Keepio, it's about every item, not just collectibles. So it appeals to a wider audience in that sense. But the nicheness of Complete Set is what really separates it and why people are so excited about it. We plan to generate revenue in 4 ways. First, we'll charge a transaction fee each time a user sells an item on Complete Set. We'll also earn an affiliate commission fee every time someone buys an item from one of our partner sites. So say Amazon, for example. So if we know that somebody wants one item out of 100, and they have 99 out of 100 from that particular set, we're going to automate the process of telling them, hey, it's available on this site. Here's how much it's available for. If you buy this, we're going to give you a badge. We're going to give you points. And you're going to be able to brag about how you just completed that set that's taken you 3 years to get all the items from. We'll also collect subscription fees for users to access real-time price guides that Complete Set will provide. We're going to aggregate all this information, so every time somebody says they have an item, they're going to input what they paid for it. Every time somebody says they want an item, they're going to say how much they're willing to pay. All that information over time will build a very accurate and real-time appraisal system. And I should also mention about subscription fees that people today buy price guides, either books or magazines. They subscribe to these things, so they're paying for this today. But it's in a very outdated format. The information in there could be out of date 2 months from now. But with this, it's literally real time. Finally, we'll forge partnerships with brands by providing them the ability to connect and understand collectors like never before. And this is one of the most exciting aspects of our revenue model, because we're going to be collecting an immense amount of data that these brands would love to be able to use to better understand collectors and enthusiasts about their brands. So one of the reasons why I applied to the incubator was the ability to build a team around this idea. As an experienced entrepreneur, I knew that this was not going to be successful unless I found a technical co-founder, somebody that could write the type of code that I don't know how to write. The fact of the matter is that I can't do everything. And as much as I've tried to do that, I've learned over the years that it's just not possible. And I needed to find someone who was smarter than I was, as Rodney mentioned. And Jamie is that guy. I might have started 2 companies, but I've been a collector, and I have that domain expertise, and I've studied entrepreneurship, and I'm immense in the startup community. But Jamie is an amazing programmer. He actually is not just a good programmer, though, because he actually quit his job at Kroger in order to be part of this summer and to focus on it. And that is really like a good indication of an excellent partner who's dedicated to a cause. And before getting into the incubator, I thought of this idea probably about a year prior, and I talked to 5 or 6, maybe even more than that, potential technical co-founders. They either didn't meet my standards because they didn't know enough information about web development to assist, or they just weren't willing to make the sacrifice necessary in order to start a company. And Jamie has done that. And finally, we have some of the best mentors. As you mentioned, we had Daniel Tweedle helping us a lot with the market size, and he used a lot of his experience in brand management to help us better understand who we're targeting and how to reach those people, and the difference between a market and people that are actually actionable. It's been a really great learning experience to have people on our side that support our idea, believe in us, and can help us succeed. So one of the most exciting things is the fact that we've been able to, technical difficulties here. Let me go back. Hold on one second. Okay, these are some of our milestones. Once we got into the incubator, we've just been fast forwarding this whole thing. And I was very anxious to get this online because it'd been so long since I've thought of the idea and I wanted to see it come to life. And through the help of the incubator, Jamie and I have been able to make some pretty staggering progress here. So once Jamie joined, we acquired CompleteSet.com. We recruited our first curator. We received public support from an international brand. And in addition to that, we're preparing to launch the beta. Now, talking about the product a little, we've put a very strong emphasis on UI and UX, the consumer product, like how it looks and how it feels when someone's using it. We want it to be almost addicting to use, a complete delight. We want people to spend hours using this. And in order to do that, you really have to focus on the appearance and the user experience. And I have a design background, so I was able to do that. And then we included some of these technologies, such as HTML5 all the way to MySQL for our database. And we're employing Memcached and Amazon Web Services for scalability. And this is something that a lot of startups don't do when they launch their product. They go back later and they do this. But really, the cost wasn't that significant to do, and it prepares us so that when this product hits it big, and it's only a matter of time, we will be prepared for that type of traffic. We've also seamlessly integrated it with Facebook and Twitter to drive traffic. Complete Set will rely on a user acquisition strategy of network effect, where every time someone posts something and they say they have something or they say they want something, it's just going to feed into Twitter and Facebook automatically without them really even realizing that. So for the future, we are slated to launch our beta in early August. And keep in mind that although this program is 12 weeks long, we did not start working on it on day one as soon as the program started. So I'd say about 7-8 weeks ago, we started coding. And in that time, we've designed a database, we've made a scalable architecture for the application. We have 200 plus users ready to use this product. So once we launch it, we're going to learn and iterate the product based on users' behavior and direct feedback from them. We're going to ask them, how do you like it? What do you use? What do you don't use? And we're going to quantitatively measure that by tracking what they're doing. Every click, it's going to be recorded in a database, and we're going to know what are they using, what are they not using. And we will also attend conventions and other events to build awareness. So stuff like Comic-Con, Star Wars Celebration, those congregations of where collectors and fans are, we're going to go to those places, have a booth, and be able to talk to these people one-on-one and gather more users. Finally, we plan to apply to startup accelerators, and whether they're here or Colorado, wherever they may be, we will go and hopefully get accepted to one of those and be able to really push this to the next level. So now we're going to show you a demo of the product that we've built. Now, keep in mind that this is a demo, and we have made what is called a minimally viable product. This does not include every feature that we've discussed today, but this is what we will be launching with. So the first brand that we're going to start with is called Johnny Cupcakes, and that's one of the reasons why he posted a tweet about this particular site. And it has all this clothing items, and he has some of the most loyal, diehard fans there are. It's insane. I mean, people wait in line outside of his stores for 2-3 days to get a t-shirt. The t-shirts are limited edition and numbered, and oftentimes or come in special packaging. So that's why they really have that collectible nature to them. So all of this has been completely built since we started this. None of this was designed, and we wanted to make something that was really visually stimulating to look at. It's all about the images. So users will be able to share using Facebook or Twitter. They'll just be able to go to an item and click that. If they want to know more about that particular item, they can click it. They'll be able to learn everything from what set it's part of, what gender it was available from, who designed it, country of origin, the manufacturer. In this particular case with Johnny Cupcakes, it's always going to be that particular company that made it. But if you think of something like Star Wars, I mean, that's a very highly licensed brand. So as a result, there's tons of manufacturers. And then once you log in is where a lot of the gamification piece comes into play. So as you see, it's pretty much the same once you log in, but the difference is that now you can see these underlines, and that indicates that you either have or you want the thing. A check mark, green, you have it, heart, you want it. And if you want to filter that, you'll be able to do that. So if you only want to see the items you want, you'll be able to do that. And then you can click on here, and you can see what level you're on, what score you have, how many badges you have, as well as then click that to take you to the what we're calling the scoreboard, and you'll be able to see what your rank is compared to other collectors. And this is a way for collectors to use their items to showcase them and essentially competing against each other, to brag about, oh, look how much money I spent on these items, and I have like thousands of them or something. And some people literally have 300, 400 of these shirts. And they're $35 a piece minimum. So you're talking thousands of dollars. And you'll also be able to filter it by like toys, parody items. All these things will have tags, so it's very much like Instagram or Pinterest. Instead of having this hierarchical, categorical approach where you have to go search for the brand under the category instead of search for the category under the brand, we put the brand front and center. It's all about the brand. And we're trying to capture all the passion and the time and the money that collectors spend on these items into one site. And that's what we plan to accomplish with Complete Set. And I just want to say thank you to the Inkubator for providing me and Jamie this opportunity. It's really been great, and I really am excited and optimistic for how this is going to go. We're literally working around the clock to get this thing online, and seeing all this excitement behind it, people requesting invites from all over the world. I think that's one of the coolest things about the internet, is just seeing like someone in France, a country I've never been to, is requesting an invite. And that's pretty exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gary. So Gary's a true hustler, right? So when he joined the Inkubator program, he's like, so I want to do market research on these T-shirts. Can I use the seed money to buy T-shirts? It's like, yeah. Actually, Gary has provided us with these spanking polos too. So he's donated those to us. Really nice of him. No, all these teams have gone through their business ideas and where they are at right now. And what I'd like to do is call on Jamie Rump and on Jason Hewlett to come up here, because these guys, like Jamie gave up his full-time job in Kroger, but it was a full-time job to work with Gary, right? So he saw that passion, he saw that commitment, and he was willing to take that leap. Jason stopped working on his idea and started working with Mary's idea, right? So what I'd like to do is call these two guys up, have some sort of acknowledgement for them, and I've also got student awards for both these guys too. So come on up, Jason and Jamie. Take a bow. Put that together right now. Awesome. So what we're going to do next is, hey, we bootstrap here. What we're going to do next is have them sit out at tables so you can go and talk to them if they have any questions and stuff. We've got some refreshments too. Thanks again to Cynthia from the College of Business, US Bank College of Business. And thank you once again for coming out here. Thank you again to our mentors. You've been awesome. Thank you to our board. Thank you for getting these awesome mentors. And we look forward to doing this again year after year. Thank you.